Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Mohammad Sohail Khan. In this particular session, I will be talking about traditional career stages, and this is from a chapter called Career Development in Human Resource Management. This is a graphical representation of a traditional career stages that you will be finding in different human resource management related books. So the first stage in the career development stage is about exploration. In this stage, one is basically trying to follow his or her dream job. In terms of that, he or she basically needs to explore different careers, different fields. Most of those jobs basically landed up because of the internships or the course projects that we have done in our class or in our college or the universities. Also in this stage, one is basically discovering the likes and dislikes. So for example, this stage can be an influence of your family member, your friends, or your teachers, or your close social circles basically. This stage is kind of regarded as a pre-employment stage. There's an age range that I just mentioned here, but it basically depends on where you are basically working. So for example, this age range may not really justify to be in the South Asian countries, or it may be different in the European country. However, this is kind of an average age where a student or an employee is basically engaged in this career stage. An important part of this stage is basically that there are very less HRM related activities that an organization can have for the employee. So for example, these are just the early career stages of one's work experiences. Establishment stage. This stage typically leads from the age of 25 years to 40 years. Most of this age is kind of a very important plays an important step in terms of establishing one's career. However, it depends on when your career basically started. So it can start from searching for a work. So for example, if you started working around 25 years of age, so maybe you won't come into that searching for the work category. However, for example, if you didn't find a job till 30 years of age or maybe 32 years of age, this basically stage leads to exploration and establishment stage at the same time. So what are the typical activities that one follows in this particular stage? So this is if you have a work, so it is for searching for a work, getting the first job. Also in this particular stage, one is trying to find a niche about him or herself. One is trying to making the mark. So for example, if I am kind of a software engineer, I'll just try to be in that I just try to explore that niche so that I can be better and be best in that particular profession. This stage is also called a true learning stage because this gives an evidence of success or failures. Also, there's lots of anxiety in this stage where an employee is basically learning from his or her mistake. This stage basically starts from what I am calling it as a junior status. For example, if you are a salesperson, so maybe a junior salesperson, or if you are a software engineer, so maybe a junior software engineer. It basically starts from that junior stage and leads to the seasoned or veteran or seasoned player. So for example, this is kind of a stage where where one has to establish his or her career. So there's a lots of anxiety, there's lots of learning, there's a lots of evidence of getting success and failure. So this stage you can call as a true learning stage. Mid-career stage, this is kind of a really important stage according to my point of view. So for example, the age range might leads to 40 years to 55 years. Again, this is an average age that I'm talking about at this time. If you just really look at that stage, this stage basically has three kind of dimensions. So for example, if you're kind of a really star employee in your establishment stage, maybe in this stage you are kind of trying to grow in that stage as well. So for example, once I'm talking about the growing, it means that one has to take this increased responsibility. So for example, the responsibility of that arena is basically increasing. So for example, if you are a junior sales manager, then now you become kind of a senior sales manager or a zonal sales manager or an area sales manager or a team lead in that way. So if you are trying to grow, basically you are at the same time you are having an increased responsibility as well. Or maybe you are trying to reach to at the what we call as a career plateauing. Career plateauing is mostly about the satisfaction level that one gains from his or her job. So, for example, if if an employee is thinking in a way that this is what he or she really wants, and there is kind of a delay in terms of getting a promotion, then there's kind of a stage where one feels satisfied in whatever the role they have in their organization. The key part at this stage is basically about maintaining and holding what we have at this time, rather than having greed for growing, because as I already talked about, growing means increased responsibility. So for example, if you're satisfied what you have achieved in your career till this time, maybe this is the stage where one can really feel about career plateauing. Another kind of dimension that you may feel in this stage is about the deteriorating stage. So for example, you may find that your interest is you're losing the interest in the work that you were doing since last 20 years or so. So this stage basically leads to reduced productivity as well. One of the example that I thought is about, for example, if one is thinking about if he or she is not getting the promotion in the next 15 years, so maybe one basically leads to lots of interest or the loss of interest in the job or less motivated. So from this stage you can go from either direction. So for example, either you can grow, either your interest or your productivity can be reduced as well, or maybe this stage leads to career plateauing if you're really satisfied from what you have achieved so far. And another important stage is about late career stage. So this career stage, again, this is an average age. We are talking about once an employee is around about 55 years to 65. So this stage is kind of, if you are successful at in your previous stages, if you kind of were a star employees, so then you can be a good resource in terms of teaching others. You can be a good mentor, you can be a good coach, you can just try to teach what you have achieved in those 25 to 30 years. Typically at this time, if you were really doing good, you are kind of getting respect. You are getting kind of respect from others. So for example, people are judging, people are respecting your judgment in some way. And for example, also an employee can lead to job insecurity at this stage as well. So for example, think in a way that you have been a star employee for last 25 to 30 years, and maybe after this kind of job, because you are kind of going towards the decline stage. You feel like kind of a job insecurity, and from the people maybe that are a new recruit into your organization. Another important factor that one expect in this stage is about the career plateauing. Definitely, this is the stage where one is expecting career plateauing, because you won't be able to grow that much from this stage after this stage. But it's kind of a holding stage, I would say, where you can be a good resource for others. There is another important topic about this stage, is that one is really looking forward about the retirement in this stage. So, for example, if you are or have achieved something in your life, in your organizational life, basically now you're looking for a good retirement space in this stage. An important factor of this particular stage would be you are trying to prepare for life of the job. So, for example, you may be thinking about your social circles. You may be thinking about your own siblings, your parents, your kids, or your family. So, for example, maybe one has spent so much time in terms of building a career. So this is maybe a time to think back, relax a bit, and think about what would be the life after the job. So maybe this is an important part in that way, that you start kind of enjoying the life that will be coming after your jobs. An important stage, or I would say the last stage, is basically about the decline stage. So again, this is kind of an average age, 65 plus years. So for example, you have really worked hard in building up your career, and this is kind of decline stage. A couple of things that matter in this stage is there's one stage that is really important, is about the financial security. So for example, how much you have, so that it can leads you for a longer period of time. So lots of financial security basically depends at this stage. If you are really established yourself financially, or if you have a financial security in some way, then this stage would be so it would be easier for you to come to that stage, because think about that you will be retiring, or you will be are kind of at the end of your career. So at this time, maybe you need more medical benefits as well. So for example, you can't switch the job at this time, and hardly there's someone that will hire you and give you all kinds of medical benefits that they have given you for the last 30 years. So for example, job switching is less. There's more medical benefits that one is asking. So financial security or stability is a key at this stage. Again, this is kind of things that an average person basically goes through. However, in terms of legal production, or the spans of lives has been increased, maybe your decline stage or my decline stage will really come after 75 years or 70 years of age. So there is a chance of a new career as a whole. So maybe that career is not paid, or less paid, or an hourly worker, or I can start volunteering for someone as well. So it can be a good start for a new career. Again, a little bit recap in terms of the traditional career stages. If you carefully look at these career stages, I really want to compare this traditional career stages with what we call as human life cycle, or product life cycle or organization life cycle as well. So for example, you start from exploration and you leads to decline. In terms of job performance, if you look at the relationship between the job performance and the stages where your jobs has been increased or you know decrease or kind of be constant, if we just really see that in the first 25 years to 30 years, like till the establishment stage, your job or one's job is basically kind of really stagnant. So for example, you are kind of in the exploration stage, you're trying to get hold of the good job. However, from the establishment stage to the late to the mid career stage is a time where one has a high job performance. So for example, after the mid career stage, there are three dimensions there where one can go to. So for example, if you are satisfied, then you may reach the career plateauing, and then your job performance will be really stagnant again. If you are really greedy for the growth, then this job performance will increase through to the late career stage. Again, for example, if you are losing your productivity, if you think that this is not the career that you really want, your after the mid career, your growth or your job performance will be declining. And definitely after the late career, there is something that you really prepare for. So for example, this is the stage where one is going through maybe the toughest time of his or her career, because if you, as I already talked about, if you were a kind of a star employee initially, so this stage is kind of a preparing stage for you to come into the decline stage. So what one should do at this stage: prepare for the retirement, think about the life that would be after your work, think about your social circles, think about your parents, your siblings, and think about the social fabric, or think about the things that you can really help in terms of humanitarian projects that you can do or you can be a part of. So I hope that you have now a better understanding about the traditional career stages. Thank you very much.